Morning, friends. Pastor Chuck Blair here. Great to have you joining me this morning. Wonderful to have you here with us today. And today's an interesting one. It's the last little section we're looking at in this biblical commentary by Emanuel Swedenborg. And for those of you who don't know or joining us for the first time, Emanuel Swedenborg is to the Christian New Church what Martin Luther would be to Lutherans. Sort of their lead theologian, so to speak. And Swedenborg has a fascinating take on the Bible, that there's this beautiful revelatory inner sense, that this sort of this poetic truth that moves underneath the words that we can look at and can help us understand more and more about life. So we're looking at Noah and the ark, we're looking at the flood, and from a simple Christian New Church perspective, a flood has more than one meaning. It's not just a physical flood, but it's also when we just get flooded over with all the worries, cares, anxieties, challenges of life. That's the story he's setting up here. And in a chapter to set it up, he goes into the couple of really fascinating discourses on joy. Now, that alone is really interesting to me, that here's this incredibly intelligent person, and he's consistently saying, yeah, I want to talk about joy. I want to talk about joy. And it's about to go into a hard story. As I mentioned, Noah, the story of Noah, Ark, and the flood is a little dystopian. But not when you look at it from an internal sense. Not when you look at it and you realize we're talking about floods in here. We're not talking about God wiping people out. Heaven forbid that's ever true. That is never true. But that there's this internal part, this deeper sense that we can get of things that is indeed quite beautiful. And it's this beautiful revelation that is part of this biblical commentary. And today what we're looking at is a comment that really struck me getting ready for this morning. It's the idea that in heaven everything is alive, and that to be in heaven is to sense that aliveness, of all things. So let's just play around with that concept for a little bit, because I think it's significant, and it's interesting the way that it ties in with joy and how significant that is. Again, just to have a tool kind of in our tool belt as we go into this story and the challenges that this story will speak of with humanity. I think we've probably all had that experience of where all of a sudden, just for a minute, kind of the veil parts and we see the aliveness of all things. One of the most famous ones ever written of was from Thomas Merton, and I think it was first in Lexington, whatever. There's something in Lexington. There's a famous event for the Catholic Thomas Merton, where he said all of a sudden he's standing on this street corner. He's gone to a doctor's appointment. He's gone down to this street corner. It's down in Kentucky, in this small little town, and he opens his eyes, and all of a sudden he realizes we're all connected. That's what this is talking about, where we just get a sense, just for a second, to see the connectedness of all things and the connectedness of all people and the beauty of all that. And the amazing part to it, to me, folks, is this, is with it comes incredible joy, right? Isn't that interesting? Like, we start to see the aliveness of all things, and all of a sudden, like, oh, there's just incredible joy with that. It was interesting. Yesterday, I was talking to a little bit with a couple, about their upcoming wedding. He was talking about his proposal, talking about this proposal came out in California amidst the sequoias. And, just even standing out there in nature, that was the little picture for today. Even standing out there in nature, we just get this feeling of like, oh, there's just an aliveness here. And there's a buzz, there's a vibration, there's whatever you want to call it, and it really is quite palpable. I feel that for a lot of us, me included, like, I'm so careful about this language because I'm thinking this can turn woo woo pretty quickly, and I don't want it to sound woo woo. I want it to sound like, yeah, this is something we can experience. It is something we can open our eyes to. It is something we can sense. And a flip I want to give as sort of our thing to hold on to for today is this, we all have guilty pleasures. Mine is I love reading books about gangsters from the 1920s, and I just enjoy that. So I'm reading a new one on Dillinger. And there is part of this book. The guy builds sort of a psychological case of why people do these kinds of things, and he talks about an interview with the famous bank robber Willie Sutton, and Willie said, and Willie Sutton, and you'll see him quoted a lot actually in different kinds of literature because he was just a very funny bank robber, and he said, "Yeah, I never felt more alive than I was in a bank stealing." And it's that's the wrong kind of aliveness. Like that's not seeing that everything is alive. There's kind of this aliveness, and thinking about it, there's kind of this aliveness that comes from activity, and this aliveness that comes from observation. And not that the aliveness around activity is always bad per se, but it certainly can be. I mean, I could imagine it would be thrilling, like holding up a bank. I mean, that would give you a little buzz, right? That's an activity. That's an aliveness built on activity. It's not an aliveness built on seeing God everywhere. It's an aliveness built on a roller coaster ride. It's aliveness built on adrenaline. It's an aliveness built on a peak experience. And I think the aliveness of heaven is just, it would have an active part to it, obviously, because nothing in life doesn't have an active part to it. But it would also have this deep observational part to it, where all of a sudden we just see our part in everything, and it just places us in a part. And it's just, friends, like you, me, us, we just play a little part. We're just this tiny little part in this beautiful symphony. And it doesn't make our part any less valuable, but it might help us to see the aliveness in all things. This idea that, yeah, I'm just one part, but that I'm constantly growing, I'm constantly shifting. Life is always moving. So, one thing then I'll close, that struck me was a few weeks ago, I preached on a simple, scientific statistic that each second, we have 3.8 million cell divisions, each one of us, like 1,001. In a sense, your body just counted to 3.8 million. Like, go figure that. Even just observing that, like, wow, there's just so much I don't understand. We're all moving in a way. Our bodies even are more spaced than they are thing. Go figure that out. The constantly swirling around of the universe. Go figure that out. We may not be able to figure that out, but we can look at it and we can see the aliveness in all things, and that can actually bring us incredible joy. So that's my thought for today, folks. Is just find that aliveness in all things, and don't find it in terms like, today we're going on 3 roller coaster rides. If you're going on 3 roller coaster rides, enjoy, but that's not the aliveness we're talking about. Instead, just take a minute, get outside, take a little breath, relax yourself, and think, Lord, just for a second, let me sense the aliveness in all things, just the aliveness in all things. My guess is you'll get an answer, and it'll be in a form of a feeling, and it'll be in form of a pretty darn good feeling. So today, my friends, may you feel the aliveness in all things and the joy that comes from that. So with that, dear friends, what we're going to do is we're going to do a little meditation, a little prayer, a little blessing. And then I'm going to hop on my phone and say hi to folks. We do make comments on social media, and the social media platform, we broadcast on a number of them. And the one that we use the most in terms of commentary is New Church Live's Facebook page. So if you want to leave a comment there, I'll be able to respond to it in just a few short minutes here. So friends, let's start out with this. Let's all get a big breath. Be still and know that I am God. Be still and know that I am. Be still and know that I. Be still and know that. Be still and know. Be still and be still. Be. Our Father, who art in the heavens, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, as in heaven, so upon the earth. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts, as we also forgive our debtors. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory forever. Amen. May the Lord bless you and keep you. May the Lord make his face to shine upon you, and be gracious unto you. May the Lord lift up his countenance upon you, bring you peace, and bring you home. Amen. All right, friends. So let's get a little cheery hello here. And again, I hope all of you are looking forward to a wonderful week ahead. And if anybody's tuning in from down at the shore, I will be going down to visit some congregants at the shore. So if you have some availability, like let me know, and maybe we can grab a meal or something. All right. Kim writes, "Good morning. I'm almost always alive, most connected with my garden." Yeah, isn't that beautiful? It's amazing, right? And for me, it's by water. If I'm especially water that's running, if I'm around water, I I totally feel that way. Mary gives a little shout out for the fact that woo woo that it is, which is so true. And Mary also writes, "Often perceived as something strange can be truth filled. Be open and willing to the aliveness." And yeah, open to the aliveness. Boy, there's a sermon right there. Open to the aliveness. I love that. That would be a great title, actually. Paige, I love your sense of humor. Paige writes, "Woo woo to the woo woo." I totally get that. Marcus writes, "Good morning," and good morning to you, buddy. Sherry writes, "Good morning. For me, I'm most alive when cooking with my visiting family." Yeah, Sherry, and I have so many good memories. Sherry's son and I are really close friends. And I have such good memories going away on vacation with you guys and everybody being responsible for one meal over the weekend, and how much fun it was cooking and and even doing dishes, which is kind of interesting. There's a whole sermon in that coming up, but yeah, that's a good memory that brings a smile to my face. Jean writes, "I feel live watching sunsets over Lake Wampaupack. It's God's painting the canvas of the sky." Gene, that's beautifully said, right? And we had lived up there for a long time, and yeah, just interesting, right? Sunrises and sunsets. We really see that idea of all things. Um, Melissa writes, "Good morning. Felt the aliveness last week watching the sunrise." There you go. A little foreshadowing there. Pure joy. And it really is. And isn't it weird, Melissa? Like it's this wordless thing, right? We're just and Swedenborg's big on saying that. He's saying, like, look, there's this joy I have, and I can't put any words to it. And this is a very wordy guy, by the way. He's like, can't put any words to it. All you can do is experience it. And I think, oh, that is so true. Marcus writes, "Alive is the present moment. This holy instant may I give to you, Lord, be allowing you to be in charge. For we would follow you. You are certain that your direction will lead us in peace." And that's beautifully said, because that aliveness is in the present moment. And I think, Marcus, it's always there. We're oftentimes have too much clutter going on in our head to see it. But then we get these little moments where we do, and it's really beautiful. It's really beautiful to watch. Beautifully said. Deborah, a little hello to you, and Amber, great to see you joining us as well. And yeah, great to see you guys and your beautiful little family last week. Uh, Sherry writes that cooking exercise checklist for keeping 12 teenagers busy. Well, it sure worked, and I have great memories of that as well. So Frez, just great little conversation there. And whether you're joining us for the first time or the 100th time, doesn't matter. It's wonderful to have you part of our little morning team here. And as Paige said, here's a little woo woo to the woo woo. May have that experience with a sunrise or a sunset or a beautiful sky or a dinner or a conversation, and just may you sense in that minute everything feeling alive. So take care, friends. God bless. Bye-bye.